happy Monday. I'm Paolo Del Rosario. Welcome back to a brand new week. We're ready to fill your Monday with positivity, inspiration, and a whole lot of good vibes.
And hello there, beautiful people. I'm Ann Asis Carrillo. Join us as we make your morning bright and full of hope. Let us make this week amazing together.
And happy Monday, I'm Monique Tuzon, ready to boost your spirits and kickstart your week with love and positivity.
Yeah.
How was everybody's weekend?
Ooh, busy.
Relax, actually.
I think Paolo and I hibernated.
No,
Okay.
I feel like we had to hibernate. Last week was a really busy week, to be quite honest. Nagulat ako on how busy we were now I look back at it. So it's important to take time and just, breathe a bit.
We never really noticed the days passing because everything's just going by in a blur.
Yeah.
Right.
Linalangaw yung oras eh. Time flies.
I was literally like, what are you saying? It's too early for this. Linalangaw yung...
All right. But of course, we're going to have a great show today.
Yes.
Speaking about taking care of yourselves, we have a couple of experts coming in to talk about, your physical health, your mental health, and I think it's going to be really important, especially that, we're nearing the end of the year.
I know.
Which is so crazy. Linalangaw yung araw.
Hey!
And we're gonna move on. Let's go into some
shall we?
serious business here today and talk about the latest headlines we have for you. Philippine National Police Chief Romel Marbil says the agency will investigate the alleged involvement of police officers in the drug war reward system implemented during former President Rodrigo Duterte's term. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Roina Garma recently claimed Duterte and other high-ranking officials sanctioned operations mimicking the Davao City model of extrajudicial killings on a national scale. In a statement, Marbil said, quote, "We take these allegations very seriously. We will thoroughly investigate Garma's claims to ensure accountability and transparency within our ranks." During a House Quad Committee hearing, Garma presented evidence suggesting that former PNP chiefs were aware of these covert operations. She implicated NAPOCOM Commissioner Edilberto Leonardo as a key figure in the scheme and revealed Major Albortra of Central Visayas allegedly boasted about killing Tanawan, Batangas Mayor Antonio Halili in 2018. In relation to that, NAPOCOM head Edilberto Leonardo has resigned following allegations of his involvement in drug war crimes. Leonardo stepped down on October 4 with Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin informing the Department of Justice of his immediate resignation on October 8. Leonardo was initially linked to the 2016 killings of 3 Chinese drug lords during President Rodrigo Duterte's drug war. PNP Drug Enforcement Group official Santi Mendoza also claimed that Leonardo and former PCSO General Manager Roima Garma ordered the 2020 killing of the PCSO official and former Police General Wesley Barayuga. During the House Quad Committee probe, Garma revealed that Leonardo was involved in implementing the Davao model, a reward system for killing drug suspects in 2016. She stated Leonardo conducted briefings for PDEA, the PNP Intelligence Group, regional directors, and PNP chiefs on executing these operations. Leonardo has denied all allegations.
Former Interior and Local Government Secretary and senatorial aspirant Benher Abalos said that Pastor Apollo Quiboloy should be in jail rather than the Senate. Abalos on Sunday said that Quiboloy is disrespecting the judicial system by evading arrest and is making a mockery of the electoral process. The Doomsday Preacher filed his candidacy through his lawyer Mark Tolentino on October 8, insisting Quiboloy will be an advocate for the protection of religious freedom. Abalos maintains the evidence against Quiboloy should keep him behind bars despite having the right to run. The celebrity evangelist is currently facing charges of sexual abuse of minors, human trafficking, and fraud, among others. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, has extended the deadline for filing petitions against nuisance candidates for the May 2025 midterm elections from October 14 to October 16, following the suspension of work in Manila and Pasay. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia announced that the certificates of candidacy for all candidates will be publicly released by December to enhance candidate screening. This decision follows the case of dismissed Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo, who failed to renounce her Chinese citizenship during the 2022 elections. Garcia emphasized that COMELEC cannot add additional requirements for candidacy and will rely on the public to verify candidates' records. Over 3 million new voters have registered for the 2025 elections, bringing the total to 66 million. 183 senatorial aspirants have filed their candidacies, with 66 validated. NCRPO suspends all firearm permits in Metro Manila from October 14 to 18 during the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction at the PICC.
Infrastructure Corporation, or NNIC, faced backlash anew after revealing a tenfold increase for the main airport's VIP services. The San Miguel-led NNIC announced new rules for privileged passenger services, including an increase from 800 pesos to 8,000 pesos for VIP access. Some netizens on X, formerly Twitter, expressed shock and dismay. A Filipino user cited a recent parking rate increase after NNIC took over the airport's management. Meanwhile, another user said it's too early for SMC to be imposing rate hikes without, quote, tangible proof of improvements yet. NNIC explains the accessible 800 peso fee created potential security vulnerabilities and led to operational inefficiencies. The new operator also defends they are being consistent with global practices at major airports. Now on to world news. Around 40 people were wounded in a suspected drone attack in Israel. The attack took place Sunday around the northern Israel town of Binyamina. The local news agency reports the drone was sent from Lebanon, where Israel is fighting the Iran-backed group Hezbollah. 4 people were in critical condition and 5 more were seriously hurt. Israel has already ordered the evacuation of additional towns in southern Lebanon as tensions with Hezbollah escalate. And the Nobel Peace Prize winners from Japan issued a grave warning about the increasing threat of nuclear war. The Nihon Hidankyo group pointed to rising tensions between nuclear-armed nations. They also urged the global community to take urgent action before it's too late. A co-founder says with new arms races emerging, the risks have never been higher since the Cold War era.
Moving on to sports. Filipino Olympian Hergy Bacyadan leads the country's gold rush in Cambodia. Bacyadan triumphs over the weekend in the Asian Kickboxing Championships in Phnom Penh. The fighting pride of Kalinga defeated her Chinese opponent via abandonment to claim the top prize. Aside from Bacyadan, Carlo Von Buminang won the gold in men's kickboxing 67-kilogram low kick category. The martial artist Jovan Medallo bagged 2 gold medals in the musical forms category. Meanwhile, over in boxing, a triumphant in-ring return for Jean-Riel Casimero in Japan. Cuadralas scores a first-round technical knockout victory against USA's Saul Sanchez last Sunday in their non-title super bantamweight match at the Yokohama Budokan.
And now let's check out the latest thrills from the showbiz world. The Core siblings are set to return to the Philippines for a special Valentine concert on February 15 and 16 at the Araneta Coliseum. This announcement follows their last performance in October 2023 and 2 sold-out shows in 2021. Tickets for the 2025 concert will be available for purchase starting October 20 at 12 p.m. The Coors, an Irish band consisting of siblings Andrea, Sharon, Caroline, and Jim, are known for popular hits such as Runaway, Breathless, What Can I Do, So Young, and All the Love in the World. Pop rock band Laney has commenced a 3-night concert series in Cebu, running until October 15, making history as the first international act to host such an event in the city. These concerts are part of their A Beautiful Blur World Tour, following a performance at the Philippine Arena on October 12. Since their formation in 2015, Laney has gained international acclaim for their unique blend of synth pop, electronica, and indie rock, appealing particularly to millennial and Gen Z audiences.
And you know, so great that those international acts are coming here. The
Yes.
chorus, I remember
so
being in high
excited.
school or maybe grade school listening to the
I
chorus.
about grade school.
No,
We were
said
at
also
high
about grade
school.
school. It's been a while. But
I missed their concert
Yeah.
last year. Was that last year or
Last
2
year,
years
I
ago?
think that was last
Last
year.
year, right? Yeah, 'cause
It's hard to get tickets, actually.
I was choosing between watching Alanis Morissette and the chorus. I only had budget for one concert, so
Yeah,
I
so you
ended up
picked the chorus.
watching Alanis.
Alanis, you picked Alanis. All right.
Of course.
Jealous.
That's
well, we
why-
have a chance now to see the chorus
I
again.
know.
We
I'm
were
looking
talking
forward
about
to
it
that.
this morning.
Yes.
We're going.
Yeah,
We're
We're
starting
going.
to save up for that
And
already.
how about Cebu? Laney, a 3-day concert
I'm
there.
so bummed I missed Laney. Did
Yeah.
you see they were viral? They were serving at a fast food joint.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yes.
so cool.
They were there and they gathered like a huge crowd, so I'm so jealous they weren't serving me chicken.
Oh, well,
I
you know
wish
what?
they did.
I'm excited to see what Laney will end up doing here in the Philippines. I'm sure they're going to do a lot of viral stuff. But when we return, we got more important stories for you later on in the show, Mental Health 101. When we return, we speak to a psychometrician, Daniel Reyes, also known as @JustDanny on TikTok. Don't go away. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day as we take you to the traffic situation over in EDSA White Plains. On the right of your screen, that is northbound going to Cubao. And on the left side is southbound going to the Makati area. And of course, Pasig on the way there. As you can see, traffic going northbound, not so bad. So if you are lucky enough to be catching this right now and need to go north, get in your car, go, 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 and make sure that you catch that that loose traffic at the moment. On the left side of your screen, you can see a slight buildup going down south as you can see that traffic starting to crawl in that area. So make sure you're prepared or leave now just in case you're trying to catch a particular deadline. Of course, traffic situation will be updated as the day goes on. Now, a 2024 study reports a steady decline in mental health among emerging adults, with a major surge on mental illness driven by COVID-19, or at least the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, let's zoom in on the big picture. What do we do to help the Filipino youth? Now, what are some of the misguidances we need to break from? This morning, we speak to a registered psychometrician and a content creator who helps young people online unpack their emotions. It's a beautiful day, Miss Justine Danielle Reyes. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's a beautiful day, and I'm happy to be here.
We're sorry to use your entire name to
Yeah.
address you first. We're not mad at you. So thank you very much for being here, Danny. Let's talk first about the content that you make and the role that you're playing online, or at least a role you feel like you're playing. Just how important is it to put out that type of content and addressing the audience that you do have?
Well, I am Gen Z, so I've always been on the internet. I grew up with the internet, and I've always been vocal about having opinions on different social issues. But as a psychology major back in 2014 to 2018, I just started sharing more things that I learned about mental health, and figured that with the passage of the Mental Health Act in 2017, it was a conversation that needed to be had. And that's where I started from, just casually posting on Twitter, Instagram, just raising awareness, basically. And then I kind of took it a bit more seriously after I passed my board exam. In 2018, I shared tips on how to pass the board exam. And from there, it was very intermittent because I had to look for a full-time job. Social media back then wasn't a serious thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't really realistic unless you had connections. So it was something that I held off up until just last year. I went on TikTok, started making content there because I was itching to teach again. And I felt that it was a good outlet for me to talk about mental health, to talk to psychology majors, and raise awareness on what a psychometrician does.
Could you tell us more what a psychometrician does actually? Because
Yeah.
we were all
Wondering.
curious
Yes,
this
yes.
morning, and it's so interesting.
Yeah, so a psychometrician is a bachelor's degree holder here in the Philippines. We're licensed to handle testing and assessment, and under the supervision of a psychologist, we get to write reports and share these to our stakeholders. I am a psychometrician in higher education, so my stakeholders are students, professors, and even parents.
Okay, and when you say you write reports, what trends have you been seeing in mental
It's
health?
actually pretty interesting in the last 2 years. We've noticed a surge in anxiety, at least anxiety symptoms among youth, among college students, because we're noticing the aftermath of the pandemic. I
Right,
think
yes.
we're coming out of the pandemic technically, but at the same time, it's like we're now experiencing the effects of it because a lot of adolescents didn't really have the proper social environment to build their social skills. We're now seeing them feeling more anxious, a little less competent in terms of socializing with others. Some of them would even express a lot of stress going back to face-to-face classes again because they've gotten so used to online classes. Which is ironic because when we started in the pandemic, everyone was complaining about how everything was going online and you
Right.
didn't have third spaces anymore. So that's just about it. What's good is that now that we're shifting back to face-to-face classes, I think that a lot of students are starting to feel hopeful again about how they are going to experience a normal growth up until
Yeah.
young adulthood.
Yes,
So
yes.
there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I feel.
You know, I totally understand what she's saying because my daughter, after the pandemic, she really had a hard time like coping with the sudden change from being online all the time and then to suddenly socializing with other people again. So she used to be a social butterfly, and then you know the
Yeah.
pandemic just really changed how her life is now after the pandemic. So you have a huge following on TikTok, and I understand that you also do speaking engagements,
Yes.
right? So you're exposed to a lot of these young people with mental health issues. So what do you think are the most pressing issues that the young people have relating to their mental health?
Well, mainly I talk about stress and burnout among youth.
Yeah.
I get invited to educational institutions a lot to talk about how to cope with stress and burnout.
Yes.
And a lot of our students are feeling like they don't have the proper resources or they don't have the proper support to cope with stress. Because back then when we were in college, like back then it was easy to complain and do it. Right now we're seeing students complain and not be able to do it because apart from online classes not feeling real. Like we're seeing our older college students feeling not ready enough to get jobs and to start a career because like online classes did not feel like the complete college experience.
Yeah.
One way of going about it now is to equip them with the skills to constantly remind them that stress is a part of life, but we're seeing unrealistic and unmanageable levels of stress among youth these days. So it's important to help them differentiate stress from burnout because burnout is when it starts to get serious and that's like on the verge of clinical problems.
Yeah, Dan, you mentioned sometimes the online classes don't feel real. But then a lot of people, their whole social lives right now, well, at least some of the younger people, revolve around online, social media. How real is that compared to actual connections that are face-to-face? Is that something that's different? Or is that a type of connection that could at least substitute real
Yeah,
connection?
I like what you said earlier about asking me what my role is on social media because social media tends to feel like a performance.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, initially social media was created to connect with others, to make sure that we maintain our relationships, but it's turned into this whole third space where we feel too self-conscious of ourselves. We're seeing young people hesitant to share. You know how Instagram was in 2012 where you'd share like your
I remember that.
coffee?
I miss that.
Yeah, that
Nobody
part of
cares
Instagram.
what you post.
Yeah.
You just post
Right
just to
now
show
we're seeing
people.
we're seeing young people who are like, oh, I don't think this is Instagram worthy. We're seeing words like, is this social media worthy? There's too much self-consciousness surrounding it that young people who are supposed to connect on the internet and supposed to feel connected to humanity, they're a lot more isolated now because they feel like people are out there to judge them.
Yeah.
And this whole phenomenon on social media where you post the wrong thing or you don't perform a certain way, you get called out.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying.
Absolutely. I remember one of my very first posts on Instagram was about a chair. And there was nothing Instagram worthy. It's not for the gram, or as my generation used to call it. But we're talking a lot about the youth. But then, again, a lot of our viewers are actually parents here. How could they relate to their kids going through these problems that they did not go through? To be quite honest, they did not go through the type of social media induced stress or anxiety. Yeah. So how could they relate to their kids knowing all of this?
I think one mistake that people make when it comes to interacting with people from different generations is that they always assume, oh, we had it so much worse, or, we survived it, why can't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's so important that we find common ground. Like, the Philippines is a very collective culture, and it's so important that we figure out how we could connect, and maybe we develop a better curiosity of what young people are going through instead of being judgmental about their very petty complaints. So one thing to avoid is to say, we've had it so much worse, because it doesn't really help. Because apart from that, what's next, right? So one good way of starting the conversation would be to develop enough curiosity to ask, like, what's going on and how are you doing, really? I think parents, they tend to underestimate how powerful it is to check in on your children. And one barrier I feel would be parents tend to press for solutions right away when in fact we're seeing Gen Zs just want to vent, they want to express their emotions. And holding that safe space for them where they get to rant about things and you don't immediately provide solutions, it's one way to help them feel better.
Yeah, Danny, sorry, we have to wrap things up in just a bit. Of course, you can follow Danny on Just Danny, at Just Danny on her social media accounts. But then for those who are looking for practical advice and who are dealing with mental health issues, what is your last word with regards to helping them address this? Whether it be inviting them to look for therapy, counseling, or the like, just to be able to make sure that they're going to be okay.
I think the best advice that I could give that's very practical is to find communities that you can be part of. This could be your family, this could be your friends, could be your peers, could be people that you share hobbies with. Just having a community that you can lean onto in times of support is one way of addressing at least the most urgent mental health concerns that we have.
All right, and that's at Just Danny. You can follow her on TikTok. And of course, check out all her content. Again, if you guys do need help with regards to your mental health, make sure that you go check out her account, see what advice she could give you. And of course, don't be afraid to go to therapy, of course, counseling, and of course, reaching out to people as well. Thank you very much. That's Danny Reyes. Really appreciate you joining us here today.
Thank you.
All right, so when we return, we'll discuss how lifestyle choices can impact health, including diabetes symptoms and prevention strategies. All that when we come back. This essential discussion will help you take a proactive step towards a healthier future. Don't go away. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day. Discover the subtle signs your body may be whispering. Explore the crossroads of lifestyle choices and learn how you can steer your health in a positive direction. To help us understand more about pre-diabetes and diabetes in general, joining us live, we have Dr. Daveric Pagsisihan, Internal Medicine of Endocrinology. Welcome to It's a Beautiful Doc. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for waking up early.
Hello, good morning. It's a beautiful day, Miss Monique.
Good morning. So, Doc, I didn't realize until moving here to the Philippines that diabetes is so prominent with Filipinos. Why is that?
Right now, about 8% of adult Filipinos have diabetes. And one of the main reasons here is the increasing urbanization of our country. Of course, our culture, the way we eat, the food that we like, and of course, some genetic problems that we also have. Some genes that we get to pass to our siblings. So those are the main reasons why there is an increasing number of people with diabetes in the country.
Doc, can you tell us what are the common signs or symptoms that indicate that a person may have diabetes?
Now, the problem with diabetes, most patients would have no symptoms at all. So don't feel anything unless their blood sugars are really very high, such as in the 300s or 400s. That's when they feel that they urinate more, they feel thirsty most of the time, they wanted to eat more, and some of them will even lose more weight even if their diet or if their appetite is really good. So the problem is wala talagang masyadong symptoms.
Well, you mentioned, Doc, that wala talaga masyadong symptoms. But then, let's say for someone who's a bit younger and doesn't realize na may symptoms sila, what words could you say to someone who should get checked, or at least someone who should check out whether or not they are either a diabetic or they could be at risk of being one?
Well, in the Philippines, we recommend that all adults who are at least 40 years old should at least check their blood sugar once a year. So that's by doing fasting blood sugar. But if you have a family history and you are a little bit overweight, then we recommend it to do it younger, probably whatever age you have. Just do a fasting blood sugar once a year and then have it checked by your endocrinologist or any doctor.
Doc, what are some lifestyle changes we can do if ever we are pre-diabetic or we're just wanting to not be diabetic?
Not get close to it.
Yeah, because it's scary.
Yan, medyo easier said than done, di ba? Yung diet and exercise, because of course, we Filipinos would really love to eat together with their family. So, bawas lang ng konti. That's the first advice that I usually give my patients. Bawas lang ng konti. Try to eat less carbs. Choose food that are high in fiber and less in carbohydrates. And of course, exercise. The recommended exercise would be at least 30 minutes of moderate exercise at least 5 times a week.
5 times a week yung sa exercise for 30 minutes.
5 times a week.
Mahirap nga yan, Doc. But all joking aside, Doc, you mentioned it a while ago that it's a bit part of yung kultura ng Pilipino. The reason why there is a high rate of diabetes here in the country. What are the siguro unpopular pieces of advice that people should consider with regards to at least yung culture natin or what we typically do as Filipinos to prevent diabetes?
Yeah. When I teach my patients about diabetes, I tell them yung mga common myths about diabetes like eating a lot of kamote or ngayon kasi yung mga saging na saba and all the herbal plants that they usually take to decrease their blood sugars. Actually, they are really not validated by any scientific studies. So what I usually teach is try to avoid, let's say, starchy vegetables, less of those. Eat a lot of non-starchy vegetables. You can shift your, let's say, yung rice to higher fiber type of rice like brown rice, and eat protein in moderation and fats.
Doc, I'm curious, is there a specific age where diabetes normally shows up? I know you mentioned earlier the test when you're 40, but if you're pre-diabetic, like when you're 20, but is there a specific age where we should really be worried?
Before, according to our National Nutrition and Health Survey, the prevalence of diabetes or the number of people with diabetes starts to increase at the age of 40, 40 to 50, and 50 to 60. So that's why the recommendation to start screening at the age of 40. But right now, we are actually seeing a lot of patients less than 40 years old. So we have 20 years olds and 30 years olds. They are being diagnosed because of increasing testing during their pre-employment examination sa companies nila. So we get to catch them earlier. So that's why kahit nga hindi ka 40, if you have family history or you're overweight, it's recommended to have your self-check, kahit wala kang symptoms.
And if you catch diabetes early on, is it preventative or you still have diabetes, it's just easier to manage?
Yeah, if you're already diagnosed with diabetes, it tends to be a lifetime condition. But for patients with early onset diabetes, it can be easily managed with lifestyle therapy. Some patients can be controlled with just healthy diet kasi hindi naman nila alam before. And now they know it already, so they'll be more conscious about the food that they eat. But there are some people with very high blood sugar, so we can't do anything about it. We have to give medications, be it in a tablet or insulin or combination. But the baseline for all patients, dapat lifestyle therapy. So that's diet, exercise, and losing a little bit of your weight. It's better to lose at least 5 to 10% of your baseline weight. So that will already improve the metabolic profile of your body.
Napa-math kami doon, Doc. As soon as you said 5 to 10% of our weight. But then, sorry, before I throw it back to Anne over here, Doc, you mentioned a while ago na you're seeing more people or younger people catching that they are pre-diabetic due to yung mga physical exams, especially due to pre-employment. But would you say that the average age of diabetics are getting younger in the Philippines? Or is it just because we are seeing more screening that we're actually just catching more people rather than seeing a rise due to an overall lifestyle or cultural shift?
I think it's both. Because there's a change in our lifestyle now, we tend to, di ba, yung mga pagkain, it's madali na siyang orderin. It's just a text away. So, and then yung mga pwedeng i-offer na pagkain in the restaurants, di ba, mas dumadami siya. And of course, the early screening at a younger age also contributes to that increasing prevalence. So, our society, the Philippine College of Endocrinology, Diabetes and Metabolism, is on the works on the new clinical practice guidelines on diabetes. So I think that the age for screening will be lowered from 40 to probably around 35, but I do not want to preempt yet because it's not yet finished.
Doc, actually, there's a rise in childhood diabetes. You now see kids having diabetes already, diba? What's your advice, to the parents or our viewers right now? Ano pwede nilang gawin to manage childhood diabetes in their kids?
Yeah, the parents kasi will play a vital role in management of nutrition among kids. So, syempre, kung ano yung kinakain ng parents, malamang yun din yung kakainin ng mga anak nila, no? So, I always tell the parents my patients that they should always monitor their children's weight.
Yeah.
It has to be within the normal growth curve or normal weight curve for age. And that is being checked by the pediatricians every once in a while during their checkups.
Doc, we're going to have to wrap things up in just a bit, but then for those who want to follow you, get more advice from you online, and maybe have a consult with you, how can they reach out to you?
I'm really very active in our society. I actually head the Advocacy Council of the Philippine College of Endocrinology, Diabetes and Metabolism. So you could follow us on our website, our Facebook page, that's PCEDM Incorporated, our Instagram, X, and TikTok, that's PCDM_PH. I also have my own TikTok and social media accounts. Just look for Daveric Pagsisihan. And I have a clinic in Cavite, so it's very far from most people. So, but they can seek consult to any endocrinologist near their area.
Well, of course, for those in the South, not too far away, Doc. Maraming salamat, Doc. We hope to be able to talk to you again really soon.
Thank you.
All right, that was Dr. Daveric Pagsisihan. And of course, you can reach out to him in the social media accounts that he mentioned a while ago. Now, let's take a look at some news here because authorities in Manila are gearing up for the All Saints Day break. Now, when we return, we take a look at the schedule and guidelines, and it's a beautiful day. We'll be right back. you're still watching It's a Beautiful Day, these are live images from EDSA Ronce along Guadalupe on the right side, northbound going to Shaw Boulevard, and on the left, southbound lane going to Makati. That's right, don't shift your screens. This is not a shot from earlier. There is barely any traffic. Ano nangyayari ngayon? On a Monday, it looks like it's a good day to go out on the road. So make sure if you're along that area, stay within the speed limits and making sure everything's all right. Oh, so it turns out that walang baso sa Manila. So that's the reason why. And of course, Pasay as well. Let's take a look at the live pictures here from EDSA Quezon Avenue flyover on the right side northbound going to the QC Memorial Circle. On the left side southbound going to Quiapo. Southbound, traffic starting to build up in the underpass. Traffic still free-flowing though, so make sure that you do plan for your drive in this particular part of town, especially if you're going down south. Going up north though, a bit easier drive for you, so make sure you do enjoy and you stay safe on the road and stay within normal traffic limits.
Now, the Manila Local Government Unit has announced that the Manila North and South cemeteries will be open from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. from October 30 to November 3 for All Saints' Day. Vehicle entry is prohibited. Burials and cremations will be postponed. Cleaning must be completed by October 26. Parents bringing children must have identification tags. Vendors or private events are not allowed. Emergency services will be on standby, and police presence will increase starting October 27. The public is reminded of prohibited items in the cemetery.
You know, again, Undas coming in once more, and that means there are going to be a lot of people in the cemeteries. Of course, it's always a news event, being able to see the amount of people going in Undas, the volume of people. I know for some people it might mean vacation time. They take the weekend
because it's a holiday.
Yeah, because it's a holiday. But then, of course, for those going to the cemeteries, make sure that you do plan appropriately. Traffic could get a lot worse, and I think we've seen that all throughout the years. It never changes, to be quite honest, Anne.
Yeah. It doesn't.
And dust is always crazy.
Yeah, and of course, with all of that, we turn over to sports news at the moment. Back to the UAAP, the UP Fighting Maroons are back on the winning track in UAAP Season 87. After losing their finals rematch against LaSalle, the Diliman-based squad complete a late rally to beat the UST Growling Tigers on Sunday at the Smart Araneta Coliseum, 83-73. Francis Lopez leads UP with 20 points, while Terence Fortea and Harold Alarcon combines for 27 markers. Going on to the next one. In the first game, the Ateneo Blue Eagles beat the NU Bulldogs in a close game, 70-68, ending a painful 3-game losing streak. Christian Porter led the boys from Katipunan with a double-double of 14 and 10, while J-House Jared Bahay adds 12. Over in the PBA in Dasmariñas, Cavite, in the PBA Governors Cup semifinals, Barangay Ginebra San Miguel regains control after defeating the Beermen in Game 3. That is last Sunday, 99-94. Justin Brownlee once again leads Barangay Ginebra with 30-9-5. The Gin Kings now lead the semi-series 2-1. And the Rain and Shine Las Vegas avoid elimination, or rather avoid being on the brink of elimination after escaping the TNT Tropang Giga in a carjack-laden Game 3, 110-109. Import Aaron Fuller kept rain or shine in the series with clutch plays down the stretch to finish with 26 big points. And again, this particular episode, I think, very important with regards to all the medical advice we saw. We could have had a lot more conversations with them. Mental health in particular, especially for the young ones. And I know you asked a lot of questions about parents addressing
childhood diabetes.
And
you
kids
can
with
see a lot of kids now, having diabetes, and it's crazy. And the parents have a big role in, really taking care of their children's health, because we're in charge of what we put on their plates, right? Their baon and school and everything. So we really have to be, careful in what we feed our children. It all starts from what they eat, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mo, you're talking about just how much we wanted to talk more about the role of a psychometrician.
Yeah,
as well.
I was so curious because it's so confusing as psychologists. What is the other one that gives medicine?
Yeah,
There's
psychiatrist.
psychiatrist, and then a
psychiatrist.
psychometrician, and I know there's another one that does the tests. I think
Yeah.
like there's a lot of them, but it's just so.
I think
amazing.
that one is the psychometrician.
I know
The-
there's
yeah,
one,
clinical
there's one
psychologist.
more.
Yeah.
Because I researched about it, but I think it's amazing, especially moving here to the Philippines. I feel like mental health was not a thing. She mentioned it only came about 2017.
Yeah.
Because in the U.S. it's more prevalent and more open, right?
Yeah.
People talk
Yeah.
about it more versus here. People are scared or they don't know what's happening to them. So I'm glad there's people now talking about it.
Yes,
We're talking about it,
yes.
and the viewers are learning more about it as well. So
You know,
Yeah.
speaking
It's more
of
out in the
mental
open.
health, over the weekend, I was able to watch Request sa Radyo.
yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Yes, I was able to catch Dolly De Leon's portrayal of the character. It's about an OFW in the States suffering from a lot of, internal mental issues, loneliness.
Yeah.
So it's nice that, we are addressing this problem now. And it was a great show.
Yeah,
it's a
no.
silent play, actually, no
Yeah.
lines. So just acting and all these expressions. You can see the loneliness in Dolly De Leon's face. It's amazing.
Yeah, again, one of the greats with regards to Philippine performances, Philippine performers rather, Dali De Leon, I'm sure. But then, we were also talking about how, in terms of media, how there have been a lot of shows that have been tackling mental
Yes.
health or mental issues as of late. I remember talking to Danny a while ago. She was talking about BoJack Horseman back in 2014 to 2020. It tackled a lot of deep, dark themes that normally animated works don't necessarily
Yes.
cover. I also mentioned in Apple TV, Ted Lasso. It's a comedy show, but then it still focuses a lot on mental health. And
Right.
and again, that's a topic that is less taboo. And we're hoping that it's less taboo for all our viewers as well after we have a lot of discussions on all of that.
And we'll have more coming up as well, not just today's show.
Yes.
We'll have more experts that will talk
100%.
about different
100%.
perspectives as well.
100%. That's it for today. I'm Paul Derosar. Remember, no matter what comes your way, you've got this.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Ann Asis Carrillo, sending you lots of love and positive vibes for the week ahead.
And I'm Monique Tuzon, reminding you to cherish every moment and keep your heart open to all the good things coming your way. We'll see you again tomorrow, only here on
It's a Beautiful Day.